Everyone, Dr. Sarah here. I'm here to give you my quick top tips for studying. One of the biggest things I talk about with my students is the idea that you're not just here to learn content, you're really here to learn how to learn. What I mean by that is most of you are coming into this course having done maybe some university, at least high school, but you may not have really been able to dig down and find the study methods that work best for you. So what I'm really encouraging you to do is to try new things, be open to change. Big one here is reflect after each assessment. So every time you do an assessment afterwards, I don't want you to beat yourself up if it doesn't go the way you planned. I want you to be thinking, okay, what worked and what didn't, right? What study tools did you use that you think were effective for you? And which ones do you feel like you put the time in, but you really didn't see the result? The goal is to find that right mix for you. Keep in mind that a lot of people, myself included, need to spend a lot of time in order to work through the options of studying to find the best mix for you. The big thing here, and there's going to be a lot of big things, the big thing is a small thing. One thing that the brain is not designed to do is to take a lot of information in at once and remember it. So, one of the goals here is to take small bites. So, really, it's about portion control. Be realistic, not in terms of what you want to learn in a 20-minute session, but rather what your brain can take in a 20-minute session. So, for example, if you're in my physiology class and you're very kind of in a non-intensive way looking at the lungs and how they work, right? You can do that for a longer period of time compared to if you're studying the specific hormones in the endocrine system and what they specifically do. All right. So you want to be mindful and responsive to how well you're taking in the information in, because that's going to dictate for you how long you're going to study. It really is about small sprints, not marathons. I have learned the hard way many, many times that if you sit and study for hours and hours, you will not remember much. Now, there are some students who can do that, and I'm very jealous. But for most of us, it's going to be about hours of study, but broken down. You need to be able to take breaks. And in those breaks, I want you to move your body and clear your mind. By moving around, you give your brain something different to think about. You make it do a different task with the movement, and you are able to clear your mind, reset a little bit. So you're going to make the most of your next session. Chew often. So small bites and chew often. With memorization, it really is about repeat, repeat, repeat. If you read something once, it's not necessarily going to stick. So you have to repeat it many times. I want you to focus on the hard parts. So, one thing I did in my undergrad that I regret doing is spending a lot of time rereading all of my notes over and over again, which didn't make much sense. It wasn't very efficient. What I want you to do is narrow down your notes and focus on the things you're having a hard time remembering. It's going to be way more efficient with your time. There's also a lot of tools that you can use. I had stacks and stacks of cue cards, sticky notes, highlighters, whatever's going to work for you. And now there's lots of virtual cue card decks, like with Quizlet and even in some of the built-in software. Another thing you want to think about is variety. If you just simply sit there and look at PowerPoints, read the book, watch the video, your body's going to get bored with that. You want to be able to use your senses. And as these courses are very much designed for human body, right, with anatomy, if you're talking about movement, do that movement, flexion, extension, abduction, adduction. If you're talking about specific bones in the foot, feel those bones. So use your senses, move your body, work with others when you can. So my husband, I tormented him quite a bit when I was taking my anatomy course, just asking him to stand there and let me push this muscle in his back or feel the bump in the back of his neck or those kind of things. You want to mix digital and tangible. So the textbook is digital, your software is digital, but you also want to be able to have some physical things, whether that's your notes, whether it's cue cards, whatever it is, you want to be able to mix those two and have fun. And yes, I mean, really, you want to be able to find silly acronyms to use, jokes you can use, do something to help make this not a task that's very much dredging through the snow or the mud or the, quicksand. Do something to make this feel a little bit lighter. Lastly, take care of yourself. And yes, I'm a mom, right? I see students very often, and I experience this as well. When you're working through a course that's very challenging, it's easy to forget about self care. So, as you're working through the course on an average day, just make sure that you're mindful of what your body needs, what your mental health needs, what your social needs are, and find that balance. Also, when it comes to exam times, you want to plan ahead to make sure that you're not rushed towards the exam. I want to prepare yourself well in terms of using different strategies to study, memorize. You also want to be able to pause. So, in the exam, if you're getting very stressed, pause, take a couple of big breaths. It'll help your body reset. And then after the exam, you want to reflect, right? What worked well? What didn't work well? What helped me understand and remember the material? What did I use during the exam that helped me? Did you need a fidget? Did you need a snack? Did you need a bottle of water? Right? And what didn't help me? So, as always, I'm going to remind you, don't stay stuck. Get help. I am here to help, right? I have office hours, I have an email, I'm on Teams, right? Don't hesitate to reach out. I am here to help you. And I've done enough uh, mistakes. I've gone through enough mistakes and learned enough, and I've taught university long enough that I always have some good tips to share with you.